Hey YouTube, Tire Metal Weatherman here. Hopefully you guys are doing well. I'm pre-recording this video. It's a very rare instance as I'm going to be going out of town this weekend. So in that period of time, I wouldn't be able to put up a weekend forecast. So I'm going to do it now. This is just actually after I recorded the rare day 6 enhanced risk video. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right into things here because I don't have a lot of energy left. So we're going to go ahead and start out by looking at the Storm Prediction Center. Of course, we talked about the Monday and Tuesday threats in the last video. We're mainly concerned about this weekend, and there really is no severe weather to be concerned with, which is great news. So it's going to be relatively quiet, so to speak, but can't rule out some craziness happening. For the most part, I think potential is going to be too low. And then, of course, when we go to day 5, day 6, things will pick up then. But basically, I'm just going to give you a quick overview as to what the temperatures will look like, along with the precipitation, and where we could be expecting some rain and snowfall totals. All right, so let's start out with the temperatures. Quite a few places are going to be above average towards the eastern half of the country right now. It's going to be a nice little warm up before the next big storm comes in. But this is what we're looking like right now. Actually, this model's a little bit out of date. Soon the OOZ will probably come in. But simply put, I think this is about where we would be right about now. A lot of us in the southeast, we're still dealing with 60-degree temperatures even into the overnight hours. And it isn't really till almost 8 o'clock where those temperatures actually drop below 60. There's a good chance of showers and thunderstorms along this region, so that will eventually knock the temperature down, along with maybe knocking down the humidity. It's pretty bad over here right now, actually. But we can also see that it's very warm over in this area. It's going to be an area of interest in a few days in regards to severe weather. But also, let's take note of this cold air that's rolled in around the central part of the country. Around the Rockies, we're dealing with some areas that are getting to below zero, especially towards those higher elevations. And then also we can start to see those below zero temperatures starting to dip into North Dakota as well. Below freezing temperatures for the Northeast are possible along the Great Lakes and through the Northwest. Once we get into Friday afternoon, however, everyone seems to warm up pretty adequately, with the exception of this little interior corner of the Northwest here towards the Rockies. Temperatures are probably going to be staying below freezing for a lot of these areas, especially in the higher elevations. Towards the valleys, we could probably get a little bit above it, maybe about 34 to 35 degrees. And over towards the coast, we're sitting in the 30s, 40s, and towards southern Cal, we're looking at maybe some 60s possible. Of course, the cold air moves back in at night. Frigid nights ahead for the Midwest and Northeast and the Northwest. But Saturday looks like it's going to be a little bit cooler for a lot of us, even across the deep south here. With the actually, let me correct myself. Towards the southeast, towards the deep south, we're still looking like we're going to be very warm. We're dealing with some temperatures that are going to be into the mid 70s. Some places even get into 80, which is kind of crazy. And this is leading up to that big storm event that we're going to ultimately end up dealing with from the looks of it right now. So it's going to be the same old song and dance throughout the week. And once we get into Monday, which will be the first day, cold air starts to advance a little bit further to the south here, which is going to lead to an interesting variable for areas around Alabama and Georgia. I do think that limits the severe threat, but a warm sector develops here, which creates it. Then as the storm system comes in, it's going to be dragging a lot, and I mean a lot of cold air along the west. So be prepared for that. And then also towards the Northeast, still a little bit frigid. Not as bad as the last couple of nights, though. Ohio Valley is still going to probably be above freezing. Once we get closer towards the Great Lakes, though, you are likely to probably be at 32 degrees or below. Let's go ahead and look at the precip really quick, and then we'll look at the potential for some snowfall, because there is a little bit of potential for snow. There's a little belt where we could expect some pretty significant, not significant, but pretty notable snowfall accumulation. But this is the main thing that we're going to be dealing with throughout the weekend. It's going to be the big story. It's just this little sleeve of rain that's going to be flowing through these same areas over and over again. This is what's going to lead to a flood threat setup come next week, because we've had several storm systems come through prior to this one throughout this week alone. So just seeing these showers and thunderstorms going over the same areas that have been hit throughout the week over and over again will always raise a brow or two in consideration for a flood risk of some kind. But as far as the wintry side of things, snow is expected to be relatively light. Some areas could see some flurries, but beyond that, I'm not really expecting anything magnanimous. Might be a little off snowstorm here towards the interior part of the Northeast, maybe even towards the Long Island region. We could see a wintry mix early in the day, or late Sunday and into early Monday. But this will be a quick moving system, almost like an Alberta Clipper, so to speak. And just as quickly as it moves in, it's gone. May see some snow accumulation, but it'll be relatively light. I wouldn't expect many areas to be above about 2 inches or more in the best case scenario. But Euro, when we look at the Cucchiera ratio, however, it does depict a little area right here along the Minnesota-Iowa border where we could get up to about 4 to 6 inches. But beyond that, though, there isn't a whole lot. I think this total's a little bit overdone here, where we could be talking about 4 to 6 inches. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a little bit less than that. Here's a GFS comparison here as well. And this is actually going to be a little bit more aggressive. We have some areas that could see up to about 6 to maybe even 8 inches around the Minnesota-Iowa border and into Wisconsin now too. But towards the interior Northeast, it's a little bit more of the same. Some areas could see up to about 3 to 6 inches. A couple of pockets, maybe even up to 7, maybe about 6 to 8 inches. But beyond that, not really a whole lot going on. We already know this next storm system, we're going to see some ridiculous snowfall totals around the Sierras. Probably up to 5 feet of snow according to the GFS here. Euro's showing a pretty similar look. Some areas could even see up to about almost 6 feet of snow, maybe even more than that, which is crazy. But that's what we have going on there. Let's go ahead and do a comparison with the rainfall outlook. And there's really no surprise here. We already know what the deal is going to be with this. So we're just letting every model pop up here. So this is what the Euro is showing on by Monday alone. Not even before this is like before the big storm system comes in. We already are looking at areas where we could see about 2 to 3 inches of rain. This is around areas like Dallas, heading in towards southern Arkansas here. It's a little pocket here where we can get up to about 4 inches of rainfall, even 5 inches on the Texas-Arkansas border here. And then as we stretch through the southeast here, there's plenty of places where we could still see up to about 1 to 3 inches of rain. And then over towards the coast, the Gulf Coast here, there's still plenty of areas where we're getting about some places 2 or 3 inches of rainfall as well. Some places 3.5 inches, which is pretty crazy for such a small storm system to be dumping that much rain. And it's a pretty similar look across the board here. This is the Canadian model. This is the GFS American model. It has the rainfall totals just a tad bit further south, but not by much. It's pretty identical. Look at the NAM. NAM's a little bit lighter on the totals, but not by much. And then here's the National Weather Service blend of models. This is like this is more of the fairground, more of a fairground, I would say, out of all the other models, because some of them can overdo this. But when we look at this here, we could still see up to about at least half an inch, maybe even more than that, over towards areas like Atlanta, Birmingham. We could see up close to an inch, possibly as well. Of course, this little this little area here is where that plume of moisture is going to be kind of marauding around that in this area here towards Oklahoma, Arkansas, and the Missouri border here. Maybe even parts of Kansas too. But we could see up to about an inch of rain right there. So this is setting the stage for a potentially bigger severe weather event, and also potentially even a flooding event. So a lot to keep track of here. But that's the end of this weekend forecast here. If you guys enjoyed, definitely drop a like. Also subscribe if you haven't. With the increase in viewership, of course, a lot of people here have been watching the videos but not subscribing. It's free to do so. Why not? I do this often, and I do it because I enjoy it. So there you go. But let me know if you have anything planned this weekend. Will the rain hamper it? Just let me know in the comments. I don't mind talking with you guys. I don't bite. Even though I'll be out of town, I'll still be able to see everything on my phone. I just won't be able to post videos. But anyway, this has been Tyler Metalhead Weatherman. I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good night.